welcome back to this episode of Paint Society, the channel where the learning doesn't stop when a video ends. If you've been following this series so far, you remember that we had this bumper completely covered with chips, peeling and cracking paint, and it just needed to be stripped down. So we stripped it down with a chemical stripper first, but it had so much paint on it that we had to go back in and use a sander to completely remove all of the bad paint. Now, once all the bad paint was removed, we needed to do a really thick primer job. So we got everything here primered completely in a gray primer. Now, once that was all primered, we let it sit for a good week, and then we came back and we used a P320 to get it all sanded down. What this did is got it all nice and completely smooth, but that primer wasn't good enough for paint, so we primed it one more time, but this time using a black primer, which is going to be a much better choice for when we go to use our blue paint right on top. So that's exactly where we are right now. And then today in this episode, we're going to go ahead and get this bumper all sanded down, set up our inflatable paint booth right outside, get it painted, and take a look at what it looks like from doing a job right from home. So let's get started and show you how to prepare this primer for paint. Now we're going to be needing a DA sander to do the final sanding. You've been seeing me use this Milwaukee sander in all my videos. You can see how worn it is with all the dust all over it. This is a little bit pricey sander, but it's one of the best sanders you can do. Look, we're completely mobile with the battery. It lasts a very long time. So if you're a do-it-yourselfer and you plan on doing a lot of work in and out of your house, remember that do-it-yourselfer does not mean budget everything. You can have good tools and spend a little bit of money that we're going to help you for your job. We're going to be using a P500. Since this has been already primered twice, this is the second time, you're going to find that the primer on the second time around is going to be much smoother. So the P500 is a finer grit. It's not going to require as much cutting into the paint because we don't want to remove too much primer. We just want to scuff it up and smooth it out. So we're going to be using a P500. We're using the Tri-Pro here in our interface on our DA pad. Now the holes don't matter too much because we're not inside doing vacuum sanding. We're going to do a light scuff. And remember, we're only focusing really here until this line because a big lip spoiler covers this whole entire bumper. And we're just going to work in slow motion. We can see here that once it's sanded, it's going to turn to this white cloudy look. Now there's no guide coat we can really use here. You can use white guide coat spray can, but it doesn't work as good as if it were to be a gray primer and a black guide coat. But you can just follow and look into it deeply, and you can see that there's a whole bunch of low spots here because it's still black showing through. And this is all we're going to do. In this particular case, we're not going to seal the bumper. We're going to use this black primer as the sealer by just primering it and giving it a nice light scuff before paint. Once that's all been sanded, let's get our maroon scuff pad and let's get into those tight areas. This is equivalent to 400 grit. By getting into these tight areas, we can ensure that it's sanded, and we're going to have good adhesion for our paint to stick. These areas here are so important because when the bumper clips into the fender, if it's not sanded smooth, it can chip right off. So we want to make sure that the areas that you don't see, we want to make sure we don't see later on because there's chipped paint. And in those little pesky letters that we've done a pretty good job of, we could just use a maroon scuff pad now to finish it up to make sure they're all nice and scuffed up. So when the paint hits it hits it nice and smooth. And we still can see pronounced Acura. Now the aftermarket version of this bumper doesn't come with the Acura symbol. Oh, this makes it worth saving. And having a proper stand can really help you out. I mean, you can get to all the little areas that you need without having to bend over backwards. And being a little bit older just makes things a lot simpler. Nice. Get into here. Now this tool is called the flexible tool stand. This is the bumper stand. This is overseas if you're in America. I'll leave the link in the description. I'll also leave a link to a budget stand that doesn't do this, but also moves around a lot more nimble than a regular fold-out stand. Now, a non-negotiable is not washing the bumper. You must wash your parts prior to paint. All it is going to be just a little bit of degreaser, some soapy water, and this maroon scuff pad right here. And now that the water is drying on the bumper, come over here and get our inflatable booth. I like it because it's the smaller version, and it's perfect for doing small parts if you need to do it mobile or at the house. We don't want to do anything bigger than that. And it'll fit right into here. We'll leave the link in the description for this product. It's perfect for bumpers and just maybe 1 or 2 small parts. All right. And we're actually using the upgraded fan just to push a little bit more air. But the fan that it comes with will be just fine. This is from the bigger booth. We're also going to be using an exhaust that is explosion proof. That means that basically everything within that explosion proof fan is enclosed, so it'll be perfectly fine. We always want to make sure that we're taking all the safety precautions necessary when doing any type of work. Now, I know what you're thinking, Brian, this is getting a little pricey and expensive here. And I agree. But don't you want to do a good job? And is this something that you want to do long term? You got to have the right tools somewhat to do somewhat of a good job. You can't be really cheap and expect something good to come out. So think about that as well when we're going over all the products. I'll tell you what you need and what you don't need. For instance, this exhaust fan, you don't technically need it, but it's going to be better for your paint. Now we're ready for our inflatable paint booth to get set up. Now I checked the weather and I'm looking around and it looks like the perfect day for something just like this. If you see any rain in the forecast, do not do it or do it somewhere else, maybe indoors. I like it outdoors a little bit because the sun can really show me a better visual of what I'm doing inside with the natural sunlight. We'll go ahead and roll it out, get it set up, pull our bumper in and start painting. Well, we're in the booth and we're ready to spray. We got a lot more visual light in here to paint. We got our tarp set up on the ground to keep it clean. We've got 2 filters. Now the air coming out of the top is gonna blow the paint out of the filters and it's gonna catch all the overspray before it goes out into the environment. So we're catching it before it's released. Also, we're gonna be pulling it out. We have our explosion proof fan exhaust here with a filter, okay? That's gonna catch all the overspray before it goes out. So we're not gonna have any fumes or any paint going out beyond this paint booth. And we're gonna pull it out quick. That's what we're planning to do with this to make it work. We've got enough room to work around our bumper. So now we're gonna wipe it down and go through the process of painting. Now all you need to use is a prep solvent. This is Clean Strip Prep All wax and grease remover. We've already gone over it prior with our degreaser with water, so we've removed any sort of waterborne contaminants. Now we're gonna go over it with our wax and grease remover, working a small area at a time. Now the reason being is, in this little inflatable paint booth, the Florida sun is really beating down on it and it's drying and making it really hot in here, so you don't want this to dry on the surface and leave a film. That can also cause contaminations. Especially in this area right here, the sun is baking on the bumper. These are some of the things you're gonna have to experience when you're painting at home that I'm going through that I wanna show you how to work around. We're really gonna have to challenge ourselves when it comes to today because it's about 90 degrees today and we're gonna need to make some changes to make this bumper come out really nice. All right, we're not gonna focus too much on the bottom again because it's all gonna be covered. Perfect. Now, some of you folks are going to ask about the compressor. It's a QST 3060, 30 gallons, but the size of a technology of a 60 gallon to keep up. This is the Eastwood. It's super, super, super quiet. I got it going into a refrigerator line. I get this thing kick-started about 2 hours before. This will cool the air and it will send it through my hose reel. Everything's going behind these cabinets into this hose reel. I put on this paint sleeve here to protect my air hose. That way it's a little bit cleaner. Every time I'm cleaning off the overspray, I just want to make sure we have the best possible way to get a clean paint job at home. We have our OEM Select base coat here. This is in Kinetic Blue B546P. Now OEM Select base coat is already pre-mixed, so all you gotta do is pour it right in and it's good to go. We're also gonna be using the Aeropro 608. I used this before in the past from home. It's a cheap and inexpensive way to get an awesome job. It's got a 1.3 in it. We're gonna be using the Aeropro disposable cup system, so they go hand in hand. Link in the description for everything you need for your project. Well, we're back here in the booth, and I'm not taking any risks with my safety, especially in here. We're using a TR800, just a PSK version is what you're gonna need to get. Now, I'm completely protected. Guys, it's a lot of money, I understand, but you can get the full face mask instead of getting the TR800, which is around $2,500. The full face mask from 3M probably be in around $150, so that's probably a much cheaper alternative. But guys, if you want the fresh air, it's definitely the way to go, but just, again, a little bit pricey. We're gonna be using the Ion Pro X. Again, not needed for a do-it-yourselfer, but definitely gonna help out when it comes to static. This is around $650, super expensive for a do-it-yourselfer, I agree. But if you guys are a little bit more professional level, then this might be a best tool that you can use in your own personal garage. So you kind of want to wipe it down a little bit. I was blowing it off there. Wipe it down thoroughly. And then once you're done wiping it down, then only use this nice and slow. This is going to de-static the bumper. Since we're in a plastic environment, there is static. When we rub it, there's static. And we want the cleanest possible job. And I'm going to show you how we do it here. So just go slowly in a sweeping motion and remove all of that static. And it'll also make sure that there's no dirt or debris left. Now once you're all set up, it's business as usual. We're going to have this fan control all the way out. Now for this, you want to have it wound. We're going to turn it in. And we're going to wind it out. 2 full turns. We're going to make sure this is completely out. This is your air pressure. You don't want to turn it in. You want it all the way out. We're going to run this gauge. We're going to be in around, we're going to start around 20. Let's see what that does. It's going on a little bit wet, but it's going on nice. So we'll go up around 22, 23. And again, we're going to focus more so our paint on that top area. We're not going to go too crazy down here, just a little bit of paint so it looks consistent. And once you get to this point, guys, it's easy. I mean, this is the easy part. We've worked for days preparing for it, and now we're just putting down the paint, and we're going to highlight all of our beautiful work that we've done here together in the last couple episodes. Now, since we're outside, I'm telling you, this is going to dry quick. So literally, probably about a good 5 minutes, and we'll be good to go. And being behind this respirator, I'm telling you, don't smell a thing. Now this is gonna be the tricky area just because it's so hot. And with the actual paint proof, the way it is, it kind of makes it look spotty from the door here, but you kind of just gotta know when it's covered. Now with that being said, by the time we've got to this side, we're gonna go back over to the other and take a look and see how dry it is. All right, we gave it a good 5 minutes in between. I'm looking at this, it's dry. We're gonna go ahead right into our next coat right here. Let's put it on really nice. We're going to do a total of 3 coats. Now with painting, you never really want to stop in one area. You just want to keep it moving. And I like to separate a bumper into quadrants. They're about maybe 3 or 4 quadrants. We got one area. Over here is going to be 2. The front half where our letters are, this will be 2. And then the passenger side, that'll be the third area. So we'll focus on this area. We'll span as far as we can. Get it nice and covered. And then get this area all smoothed out. We'll take a look at it. I think it's gonna need 3 coats. We're gonna let it dry about 10 minutes now because it's got 2 coats on it. We've thrown a lot of material and it'll last about 10 minutes or so, so let's let this flash off nicely. All right, so 3rd coat, we gave it an additional 10 minutes. It's looking good. Since we used that black primer, it really covers well. So here we go. We're gonna just go on it and give it a 3rd coat.
lower my pressure just a little bit to make it smoother. This is not a dust coat, but it is a little bit more of an even coat you want to give it. So you might want to just back up another inch or so. You don't want it dry, because if it lands dry, it's going to land gritty. We want it to land smooth, but we also want their metallic in this paint to be oriented in a way that it doesn't look spotty. So just backing up about 1 or 2 inches is going to do that. We'll come over here to quadrant 3, get a little bit more of a reach, a little bit more even, and quadrant 3 is going to be all done here, just like that. Now we can inspect the bumper and make sure we don't have any areas that still need attention. Now basically what we're looking for is any areas that might have been missed, or if there's still some primer exposed, we're looking for that. Remember, we're focusing on this area above this line because there's going to be a kit that covers all of this. So this has gone on really smooth. This grill in this area from factory does not get painted, but since it was so cooked, we're going to paint it, give Jeremy the option of color matching it or doing the gray graphite after. We'll let him make that decision. Over here, again, it looks weird because of this door here is reflecting the plastic waves in the door. But take a look at this. All that overspray is caught before it releases. It's clean. Once it goes past here, everything's caught. That's the way you want to do it, guys. So it's going to be pushing out, catching, pushing out, and pushing out. It's got 3 areas, but this is going to be the biggest area that it gets out. We want it to get out, but we want it to filter cleanly. So once it gets out there, you don't smell a thing.
All right, so we're done with the base coat. A lot of guys ask, how do I clean or how do I break down my gun in between? I'm going to show you a really quick and effective way to do it in between coats. Now, in between base coats, like those 3 coats I did, you don't need to touch it. It's not going to dry. But once you're ready for clear coat, you're going to need to clean it. So we're going to take the air cap off. I'm going to use this stuff called the Naked Gun. This is called their double shot. It's got a special nozzle on it. It's a lot stronger. It's super easy. And when we're done here, I'm going to show you literally how much it doesn't take to clean your gun out. Now, once we have it here, we're going to just give it a little cleaning here. And we want to make sure that everything is removed because we don't want our metallic mixing in with our clear coat. We don't want the contamination of the two. If you have any metallics left over in your clear coat, they can kind of float in your clear coat and look weird or sparkly. And we don't want that. So you want to do your best. You don't need to completely take everything apart. You're going to take everything apart once you're completely done with the gun after clear coat. There's no need to get 3 or 4 different types of guns. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, you can get 1 gun just like this. You can get 2 guns if you want that are just the same for under 200 bucks. You can use 1 for base if you want, 1 for clear if you want to. But here I'm showing you, I'm doing it with just 1. I'm going to put the air cap on. Everything's nice and clean. I'm going to show you it coming out. The cleaner, you can see the cleaner coming out. It's completely clear. All right. And I want you to look at the material that we used. That is just about probably maybe an ounce of material. We don't have any rags. We don't have any crazy mess. It's just a clean little material here that we can dispose of properly. Now this is the clear coat I got. I ordered it from Amazon and they put tape on it. That's why it ripped up. But this is the 613 hardener FC710. This is a spot clear. It dries quick. That's what I need. I need it to dry quick. We don't know what's going to happen with that booth, if we're going to have an outage. We don't know if the weather's going to change, so I need it dry. I need to get it out. Now, they have 3 levels of hardener for this particular clear. They have the 611, 612, and 613. 613 is the slowest of them all, so it's going to slow down this clear as much as possible. Now, we're still going to be using the 710, but just, again, slowing it down with the 613. This is a 4-to-1 clear, so we locate 4 to 1. We want to use the max amount, so we're going to go all the way up to 5. This is going to be the clear, and then the hardener is the next one. So 5 and then the hardener. So let me show you that. We're going to go all the way up to that 5 right there. So we've got the first line up to that 5. And then this is the 13 hardener. This stuff's going to go up to the next 5. And that's it. So we have here roughly about, I would say, 20 ounces of clear coat.
All right, so it's all dry. I gave it 25 minutes to really dry. We've got 3 coats on there. I'm gonna go over with the tack rag and see what it looks like. It's so smooth. You want it smooth. If it's not smooth enough, Scuff it 600, put on another coat. Barely any overspray, guys, here. Super nice. So I know when this clear hits it, guys, it's gonna be just like the shop. Nice, clean, ready to go, factory finished job. All it is, guys, is procedures. Getting yourself into a procedure. Consistency, doing things the same way each and every time will yield a perfect result. Still checking, make sure everything is nice and even. Good to go. Perfect. Very nice. Little overspray. And right before clear, we'll run over it. Perfect. Nice fan. It's gonna get a little foggy in here, so we gotta keep it moving. Keep it moving. Spray it and get out. That's what we want. So I'm around, let's say, 75% overlap. I'm not going for the finish I want right now. I'm going for getting clear on the bumper, and then that second coat, I'll move a little bit slower. Make a little adjustment to the air. I want a little bit more pressure. Perfect. Keeping it moving. Very nice. Very, very nice. Right over those Acura letters we put so much work into. Bringing it up. You can see the gloss is just amazing coming out of here. Up into our grill area. Give Jeremy the option of keeping it color matched. Back him over to our third quadrant. Moving, moving. I like the fan on this gun. It's a little bit wider than most cheaper guns, I will say. So I get a nice atomization of the clear. And coming over to our weird area, I'm always starting at the bottom. I'm just working like a robot because visually it's really hard to see exactly what's going on. But I'm working like a robot. I know what I need to cover, and we'll leave it at that. Put a little bit clear here in the areas that will be covered, just so they have some clear on it. And that's it. Get out. That's what we're gonna do. This is doing a fantastic job. It's really overly, not too crazy foggy in here with that exhaust, and it's pulling it out quick, but still, get out. And after a couple minutes, we can tell it's just completely cleared out. Now, for these booths and other booths, they make that elephant trunk that connects to here. Don't waste your money, guys. It's too big to store. It's huge. It's kind of weird to get fitted up. Just get your exhaust explosion proof. Put it in the corner there. No overspray's getting out, and then let it all go through that filter. About 5 more minutes. Gonna let this kind of just dry up a little bit, tack up, and we'll lay down that second coat a lot wetter. We're ready for the second coat. First coat, not completely like smooth, but smooth enough. Now we can put that second coat on. It's got a nice little peel to it, nice little factory finish so far. We're gonna lay it down a little bit wetter, and this thing is looking good. No fish eyes, no contamination, no nothing. Honestly, a perfect job. Even for being at the booth at Acura, this is a perfect job. So this time a little bit slower. We're gonna be a little bit longer here in the booth, but we need to get this nice and smooth and build up the mills just a little bit. So it's got the protection. If we ever need to wet sand and polish, we know it's got the clear on it. So just moving, 75% overlap, watching what we're doing. I like to kind of get below the paint gun and see what it's doing from the side. I find this most effective. We're gonna get all the areas that matter first, and then whatever clear we have left over we can put on the bottom where it will be covered. But overall, I'd say this is the most ideal situation for painting small parts like this, like a bumper. Having this little inflatable booth, you know, having the setup that we have to get the overspray out, having a low overspray gun, a cheaper gun. We're doing everything do-it-yourself professional. Yeah, it might not be the cheapest, but it's the best way. I mean, you can only work with what you have. If you don't have a good air filtration system, if you don't have somewhat of a paint booth to keep out dirt and debris like bugs and all that garbage, you're not going to stand a chance, guys. I'm not looking to buff anything when I do these jobs, really. I'm not. Just maybe the small stuff, but not the whole entire bumper. So if I can do this, a self-taught person learning out of their parents' garage, if I can come back 20 years later and knock down these jobs in my own backyard, there is not a doubt in my mind that you guys watching this video can do the same exact thing. There's no doubt. I've given you all the tools, everything you need to know. Now you just need to go out there and knock out some killer jobs. Really not a lot of overspray in here. Nice and clean. And then we still have the whole functionality of doing weird things like this. This is good for those guys that get a run that want to move it the other way. Yeah. It's for you guys right there. Look at that. It's just for a demonstration of me showing off. But it looks great, guys. Let me put it back up and let's go ahead and get out of here. As much as possible flat. Like that. All right. We're 10 minutes after spraying. Now the number one thing a do-it-yourselfer will do wrong is turn off the fans. Do not turn off the fans. If you turn off the fans, this is just gonna sit here in the heat and it's just gonna make that top layer dry faster than the underneath layer, like the first coat of clear. That's gonna cause solvent pop. Solvent pop is when the first layer, it skins over, underneath it's still drying and releasing solvents, and it traps it on the top, and you see these little pin marks. By keeping the fans on, it's blowing air across the panel over the surface of the bumper, and it's allowing that top coat to not dry because it's got air moving over it. If air was not moving over it, the sun would just penetrate it too easily. But by air moving over it, it's not able to penetrate, it's drying properly, and after about 30 minutes, then we can take it off because this is a faster clear. We'll come back here after 30 minutes and we'll check it out, but right now, take a look at this. This is about 10 minutes after spraying. The gloss is real, everything is real here, there's no dirt. There's maybe one speck in here, and maybe another one right in here, but this is no lie, guys. This is the way they come out. This is the finish you're getting. This is the finish you can obtain right in your own backyard. No lies, guys. I'm showing you everything. This is how it looks. This is how it looks. You don't see dirt. You don't see contamination. You see factory finish on there, factory orange peel. You see a couple little pieces of dirt that can be bucked out easily, but you don't have to go over the whole entire thing. I mean, 10 minutes later, this thing, I can touch it. Look at, I can touch it without sticking. So that's pretty quick, especially out here. Let's give it a full 30 minutes and then we'll wheel this thing out and look out in the sun. All right, so we gave it a good hour actually with the fans running. And with the fans running, let's check it out for the first time. Wow, yeah, that's dry. That's dry. And look at, no solvent pop. No solvent pop whatsoever. This is beautiful. Let's go ahead and get this out. Now, before we turn this off, one thing I did was I made sure that these were on two different breakers. So this is going to a breaker that goes inside of the house, and this is going to a breaker that's on the exterior. So there's two different breakers. They're pulling a lot of watts, so I want to make sure that we wouldn't have any issues. If you watch the channel, you know we have issues with this thing just, you know, tripping the breaker. So we'll go ahead and turn this one off now. Lift this guy up. Take a look at this. This is all of that paint that was caught before it released. Okay, so we're catching the overspray. We're filtering it properly. That's what you need to do. Make sure there's nothing that comes beyond this booth. Everything is caught in the filters. Now, one thing I like about this booth is that it completely detaches from the top, so nothing hangs down. So when I go to wheel this out, nothing's gonna be dragging on it. Basically, I can come here, take that down here. Now I don't have to worry. I can pull it straight out without anything coming on top of it. Let's say it wasn't perfectly dry, or if it's still a little bit tacky, for whatever reason you're pulling it out. Now you don't have to worry now. But check this out. You guys get to see it right as it comes out on the booth for the first time. Lift it up, look at that. Right from home. You can't beat this, guys. This is amazing. The finish you can get right from home just by some knowledge and a little bit of experience. You can start doing this right away. And take a look at that finish, guys, right here, and that beautiful sun. The metallic is glistening perfectly, beautiful, nice orientation of everything. The finish is on point. Those accurate letters we were concerned about, each and every one of them is perfect. They don't have one chip or one defect. And now Jeremy has the option of keeping this color match grill right here for himself if he likes. But this thing is really kicking. And now what we'll do is we'll end up putting on this lip after we get it painted, and we'll stay tuned for another video. We'll show you the completed product, but we want to show you exactly how to get this looking from this back to this. Wow. Now a lot of folks, right when they're done painting, they want to take their bumper and put it right in the sun. I mean like 10 minutes after. Don't do that. This has been drying for an hour. Don't take it out and think it needs to dry right away. We've given some time to really dry on its own, and then you can use the sun to help it cure. Again, you don't want that solvent popping, similar to what I told you in the booth. There's a lot of great knowledge in this video that you can start using right away in your own home or in your garage or your shop or whatever it might be. I hope these videos are really helping you. I make them to help the do-it-yourselfer, to help the professional level, whatever it might be, so you can have the same type of goals I had and the same outcome just like this. Guys, this is Brian from Paint Society reminding you, don't overthink it. It's just paint. Now, let's get this paint booth all deflated.